Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and sorry for the lack of videos in the last couple of days. I have been currently on holiday, so I haven't had really much time to do any current videos. So I did update you about this, was it on Friday or the early hours of Saturday morning. I did notify you that I might not be able to do any videos for the next couple of days, because obviously of course I did say I was currently going on holiday, but now I am currently back and all that, and I have now been reading up the current news. So we'll get straight, we'll cut straight into the chase. So great start to pre-season for Manchester United, with a 2-0 victory over Perth Glory yesterday and all that. Obviously but second half goals from Marcus Rashford and Jimmy Garner, of course, was enough to give us a victory and all that. I think also, Daniel James did very, very well on his debut, because Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, of course, had been given their debuts, and both players, played really, really well. And I do believe both players have got all the ingredients required, to become a huge success at Manchester United, Van Wan-Bissaka and, of course, Daniel James. I do believe Luke Shaw went injured off in the game, so he went injured. I think it was a hamstring injury he had sustained. Obviously, Lukaku didn't participate in the game, because I think he had some kind of niggle, as he did confirm. But like I said, we do know what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is trying to rebuild this summer. Obviously, it is his first summer as Manchester United manager, but obviously he's worked out his transfer strategy for this summer. Obviously, he wants to develop a squad of young, hungry, homegrown talents, and I do believe we are moving away from the policy of signing them well-established players. But Manchester United did win by 2-0. Obviously, we know Fred and Darmian didn't participate, because obviously they haven't travelled to Australia, Fred and Darmian, I think, due to family reasons. But I also think Alex Tuanzebe had a great game. Daniel James had a fantastic game, and I think Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka will do really well at Manchester United. And obviously it's beneficial anyway, because they've already got that experience, of course, of playing in England, and they're both only 21 years of age, so they have still got a lot of years ahead of them. I think also Tuanzebe had a really, really good game. I think also Chon had a really, really good game. Mason Greenwood and that had a good game. But obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed that Mason Greenwood will be promoted into the first team going on into this season, which is very, very good. So like I said, pre-season is always very, very good, because like I said, the young players are going to get the chance to get a bit of experience under their belt. I also heard that Paul Pogba got a fantastic assist for Rashford's opener. Very, very good piece, a brilliant from Paul Pogba. I think it was a back heel assist that currently Paul Pogba had currently got. But like I said, fantastic start to pre-season for Manchester United. So we did win by 2-0 and all that. So let's get straight into the transfer news now and all that. Like I said, more things is currently updated. Obviously, we do know so far this summer, we have currently got 2 players on the board. Obviously, we've got Daniel James for 18 million. Obviously, we've got Wan-Bissaka, of course, for 50 million pounds and all that. So that's taken our net spend up to around 65 million pounds so far this summer. But we are all aware that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to build on this, and obviously, I do believe now his priorities are to recommend an experienced centre half in, and of course, he wants to add reinforcements in that midfield. And for the entirety of this window so far, we have been mainly focusing on the incomings, but I think we've also got to focus on selling players, to help us generate funds and of course rebuild the squad. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed, and Manchester United, we are not intending on overspending on our current targets. But obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also did say that we don't currently need to sell players. According to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we haven't received any bid for our current players as yet. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoken to the vast majority of our players this summer and all that. Our next game is obviously Leeds United. I think that's on the 17th of July. That's our next pre-season game and all that. Yeah, but yeah, very, very good victory against Perth Glory. Can't give you a full match analysis on it. I only watched some of the highlights. Rashford's goal was very, very good. Obviously, Jimmy Garner's goal and that was very, very good. So overall, it was a pretty decent performance. I don't think Matic looks that good to be quite honest with you. But analysing the squad is not good enough at the moment. Regardless of who our current manager is, regardless of who our manager is, they would struggle with that current squad, because obviously it isn't good enough at the moment. So there's still lots to address in the squad. We need to revitalise the squad and all that. But I do believe now our top priority is to get a central defender in. Then I think we're going to focus on getting a couple of new additions in that midfield and all that. So there is big breaking news now coming out in regards to Harry Maguire. I've been reading a lot about Harry Maguire in the last couple of days. Obviously we do know Manchester United have been relentlessly linked to him, because obviously we are in search for central defender, because I think, you know, we've had issues defensively, you know, for a number of years now, and all that. And reflecting back last season, you know, we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games last season, so that just shows the issues that we've got defensively. We haven't had a world-class central defender, you know, since we had the likes of Vidic, and of course since we had the likes of Ferdinand. So I do believe it is a pivotal area, but I said we also need a couple of new additions in that midfield. You know, we also need a right winger. I think we need a replacement, of course, from Lukaku, where he does leave the club, and obviously we're going to need a replacement for Paul Pogba, but possibly now Paul Pogba and Lukaku could be, you know, remain at the football club, you know, based on the huge fees, you know, we've put on both of the players. That seems to be the stumbling block of Lukaku and Paul Pogba, you know, making their proposed moves away from Old Trafford. But we need someone anywhere that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline, you know, someone that can complement him. You know, some Manchester United fans have said, you know, we potentially, you know, need two central defenders, but we need to see vast improvements going on to this season, because last season was disappointing. You know, we finished sixth. Of course, we didn't win many silverware, and we haven't won any silverware in the past couple of seasons and all that, because I did say, you know, we have been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years. But like I said, I do believe we need to sell players. Obviously, we've seen Valencia leave. Obviously, after he served 10 years at Manchester United, obviously we've seen Ander Herrera leave on a free transfer. We saw Fellaini leave back in January. So obviously they're the players that have left, you know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, got recommended in. But like I said, good news now is coming out in regards to Harry Maguire. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified him as his number one defensive target. Now, I've been reading the Sun quite recently, and that does reportedly say now that Manchester United have won the race for Harry Maguire, and it does allegedly say that we have agreed a world record £80 million deal with Leicester for Harry Maguire, and it does reportedly say, you know, he's set for his Manchester United medical tomorrow. This is according to the Sun that I've just basically read. So this is very, very good news, because like I did say with Harry Maguire, you know, he's a very, very good central defender and all that. Like I did say, looking at ultimately, you know, Leicester don't want to sell Harry Maguire. This is the main factor why they are, you know, this is why, you know, they are demanding an extortionate amount. This is why, of course, they have priced him out of the transfer market. But, you know, he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United. Obviously, reflecting back last summer, you know, our priority, of course, was to get a central defender in. But obviously, you know, the board weren't back in the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend in last summer and all that. So we didn't, of course, get our number one targets. But one of the players Jose Mourinho wanted last summer, of course, was Harry Maguire and all that. But of course, Leicester don't want to currently sell him. I think I was reading reports today whilst I was on holiday, saying that he's also frustrated with Leicester his Harry Maguire, you know, pricing him how of move, you know, to either Manchester United or Manchester City. We do know that Harry Maguire's preference was actually, you know, a move to Manchester City, and obviously, you know, reflecting back a couple of weeks ago, was it, or 3 weeks ago, you know, it was looking likely City were going to get a deal over the line for him. He said City were set to get him for £80 million, and it did say City were set to pay him around 280 grand a week. But obviously, you know, City had withdrawn their interest, because obviously City are not willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. Obviously, Manchester City are seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany, or was seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany and all that. But I do believe reportedly Manchester United are set to pay £60 million up front with £20 million in add-ons, so that does potentially, you know, rise to around £80 million. Now, the Sun have reported out saying that Manchester United have reportedly agreed a world record £80 million deal with Leicester for Harry Maguire, and I do believe this is extortionate and all that. I did say maybe £70 million is reasonable in this market this day and age, but I said over the £70 million mark, basically, you know, Leicester are asking for too much and all that. But Leicester did say, you know, they was very convinced, you know, we would pay what they was currently demanding. I do believe Leicester did want somewhere in the region of around 85 or 90 million pounds and all that. But I do really like Harry Maguire a lot, and, you know, reflecting back out, was it the other week, saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had asked the British players in our squad, you know, about their thoughts about Harry Maguire, and obviously, you know, Solskjaer did get positive remarks, and also feeling instructed, you know, Manchester United to get a deal over the line for the current player, because obviously, you know, Harry Maguire has played under Mike Phelan's guidance. Obviously, this was during Mike Phelan's time, you know, when he was currently Hull City manager, but he only had a short tenure with Hull, but he has, of course, managed Harry Maguire. Sky Sports did report out the other week, saying that reportedly, you know, we'd offered around £70 million. Obviously, this was too insufficient for Leicester, so obviously we do know that Leicester had currently turned this £70 million bid down. Obviously, we do know that there's talks have been ongoing, you know, for several weeks, you know, between Manchester United and Leicester over coming to an agreement on a fee. Also, Manchester City have held talks with Leicester and all that. But Harry Maguire is a very, very good player, you know, 26, British, and obviously, as you all do know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United this summer. Regarded as one of the best centre-halves in the Premier League, reflecting on his impressive performances in the last couple of seasons with Leicester. I wouldn't put him in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, and maybe what, you know, emulating to like a Virgil van Dijk from Liverpool. Liverpool, but I do believe he'll, definitely, exceed expectation levels at Manchester United. Obviously, Harry Maguire does want to rejuvenate his career. He wants to take his footballing career to the next level. And like I did say, he has been at Leicester a couple of seasons. He's played 76 games for them in all competitions. Obviously, 69 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. Obviously, he signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer, so he is under contract with them till 2023. Obviously, Leicester did pay around £17 million for his services from Hull City a couple of years ago. But I think it's been looking very imminent anywhere that Harry Maguire, is currently going to be our third signing. So if we've agreed £80 million, and obviously we've spent £65 million so far this summer on 2 players, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to take our spending to around 145 or 155 million, of course, on 3 players. But Harry Maguire, well Premier League proven distribution, good, very, very good in the air, holds his line fantastically well. Like I said, still got a lot of years ahead of him. Isn't very fast, but I don't think, that's currently an issue and all that. So according to reports, I think it's also stemming from Duncan Castles, saying that reportedly Manchester United now have come to an agreement with Leicester, the world record fee of £80 million. So basically, reportedly Leicester have accepted this current offer and all that. At one point, we was not initially willing to pay more than £70 million, but I think now reportedly, we have agreed a world record fee of £80 million. And reportedly he's subjected to a medical with Manchester United and all that. And his medical, of course, is tomorrow. So this is very, very good news indeed. But he did initially say it was in our plans to get a central defender in. Then we was going to focus on getting the deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. But quite a few people said, we need 2 central defenders, because obviously, the likes of Smalling isn't good enough. Obviously, we do know that Phil Jones and that is not good enough and all. And, Smalling and Jones have been 2 long-serving players at the club. Smalling's been here 9 years, Jones has been here 8 years, but they're no longer good enough now to represent Manchester United. And it was a bad business for Manchester United, giving them 2 new long-term contracts. We've got Rojo and Darmian, but I think Rojo and Darmian, should be leaving the club. And I think we can generate around, 25 or £30 million for their departures, because Rojo and Darmian, they haven't really been given the opportunity, let's be completely honest. But I do believe we need at least 1 central defender. But I do believe Harry Maguire, can take Manchester United forward. I do believe our expectations probably going on to this season maybe will be to finish in the top 4. I do believe our aspirations will be that top 4 for the next couple of seasons. You never know. Maybe we may challenge or win the league next season, but going on to this season. But I don't, see that currently happening, because I don't think we're good enough at the moment. The squad's not good enough, obviously. I still think there's around 4 weeks, or is it just under 4 weeks remaining this transfer window. So I did say, we have got to be more competitive in this summer transfer window and all that, because like I said, there's just currently under 4 weeks. I did say, it's going to be difficult for us to attract players to elite level, because obviously, we're not in a Champions League football for next season. Champions League football is always very pivotal when you do want to get your number 1 targets. And like I said, quite a few people said, look, we should be sensible over our recruitment this summer. But like I said, I think Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka are 2 good signings for Manchester United. Did very, very well on their debuts and all that. And I think they can bring a lot to Manchester United. And I think Wan-Bissaka can be our full-back for the next decade, and he's going to be obviously our first choice right back going on into this season. With Daniel James, whether he gets first team football week in, week out or not, I do not know. I am a bit sceptical about that, to be quite honest. But like I said, Daniel James, will get given his chance. I think actually Daniel James started against Perth. I don't think Wan-Bissaka started. I think he actually, came on in the second half. I'm very, very sad. I'm sad about Luke Shaw getting injured. I don't know how long he's out for. I didn't really read it. Is he out for up to 5 to 6 weeks? But he did come off against Perth Glory. I think he sustained a hamstring injury. So I do believe, Ash Young was featuring him on that left-back position. But like I said, with Harry Maguire, he will be a great sign for Manchester United. So allegedly, he's set for medical with Manchester United tomorrow. But like I said, been a lot of central defenders on our agenda. Koulibaly, but I think now Koulibaly's out of the equation, because obviously, Napoli are reluctant to offload him, and like I did say. I think I was very, very cynical, about the stories about Koulibaly and all that for the majority of it anywhere. But I think the only way we can get Koulibaly is if Manchester United, of course, are willing to pay silly money for him. But I don't think, we are intending on doing that. So I'd say Koulibaly's out of the agenda. Delay, obviously, I think he's gone to Juventus, or he is on the verge of going to Juventus. Obviously, there's still talks about West Ham's Diop going on. Obviously, we have been in for him in the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, there's been so many centre-halves on our agenda, but we've got to improve defensively. News about Bruno Fernandes and all that. Well, to be quite fair, nothing much more was really updated about Bruno Fernandes since I last updated you. Was it on Friday or the early hours of Saturday morning? Obviously, it did say we have been given a boost in our pursuit of Bruno Fernandes. Now, allegedly, that we are set to get the deal over the line for Harry Maguire. Now, we will focus on getting the deal wrapped up for Bruno Fernandes. Potentially, I think Sporting Lisbon do want in the region of between 60 or 70 million pounds. I don't think Manchester United are determined to go anywhere near that figure. I think it did confirm, we are willing to pay around 50 million pounds for his services, but I do believe, this is too insufficient for Sporting Lisbon. At one point, it did say, we was only willing to pay around 32 million pounds for Bruno Fernandes, but we do know for the entirety of the summer, he has been linked with move to Manchester United, and Bruno Fernandes' transfer saga to Manchester United, does continue to persist. I do believe Bruno Fernandes' preference is a move to Manchester United, because I do believe that Bruno Fernandes has notified his representatives that he wants to come to Manchester United. I think he's turned down Tottenham. He has also turned down Liverpool and all that. And I think he's held negotiations with his agent, about a potential move to Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes and all that. So, several talks have been going on, between Manchester United and Sporting Lisbon for a number of weeks. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes' agent, was in the UK the other week to allegedly, thrash out a deal with Manchester United. But I do believe throughout the course of this week, Manchester United have held more negotiations and that with Sporting Lisbon over getting a deal concluding that for Bruno Fernandes. I did hear earlier on this week as well that Manchester City were planning, to hijack our move for Bruno Fernandes, because reflecting back, was it around 6 or 7 weeks ago, it was looking very, very likely that Manchester City, were going to get a deal concluded for him. But obviously, as it did confirm, that City had withdrawn their interest. Came out the other week saying that Tottenham and Liverpool had withdrawn their interest, because we do know Tottenham and Liverpool have been in for him. Obviously, also Tottenham and Liverpool have held negotiations with Bruno Fernandes' agent. But I do believe it's very, very likely he's going to be leaving Sporting Lisbon, and I do think he wants to make the move to Manchester United and all that. He did early on this week. He did play in that friendly, even though it initially said he was going to be pulled out of that friendly. Over his potential move to Old Trafford and all that. And like I said, Bruno Fernandes has held negotiations with his current agents. But for the entirety of the window, he has been linked to move to Manchester United. And regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, I still think it's initially in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans anyway. To get a couple of new additions in that midfield. So I don't think Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. So I don't think what's going on with Paul Pogba, the situation with Pogba, is affecting Bruno Fernandes' proposed move to Manchester United. But like I said, it did initially say we have reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon. It also said allegedly we've agreed the personal terms. Reportedly, Bruno Fernandes has agreed around £100,000 a week contract, but obviously no fee has yet come to an agreement. So I do believe at the moment the fee is actually the stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes making his move to Manchester United. But very, very good player. Like I said, we've got to add depth in that midfield, and Bruno Fernandes will bring goals in that midfield we need. He'll also rejuvenate the team. His movement's very, very good. His tenacity is really, really good. He is only 24 years of age, is Bruno Fernandes, and he's done well in his couple of seasons with Sporting Lisbon. I think he scored 31 goals in all competitions last season. And he's done really, really well in his couple of years in Portugal. Obviously, he's still under contract with Sporting Lisbon till 2023. Obviously, he did sign his 5-year contract last summer, and obviously his initial release clause is around £88 million. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes did spend the majority of his career in Italy when he was younger. I think he played for Sampdoria. He also played for Udinese. He also played for Novia and all that. So I do believe we can still get this deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes and all that. So I'm still very, very convinced that Manchester United can currently get this deal over the line and all that. But I do believe he would be a good adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. As I've been updating you about, Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku and all that, like I did say, if we do sell them, even though we are aware they are both imperative players, and obviously, imperative players for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is working on trying to keep his imperative players at the football club, and he's also working on trying to bring the right players to Manchester United and all that can elevate Manchester United forward. But, Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku are both imperative players, but I said if we can sell him, it will help us with our rebuilding process. Of course, it will help us over our transition, because I do believe, we can generate around £200 million for their current departures and all that. Like I did say, with regards to Paul Pogba, he got a fantastic assist yesterday for Rashford's opening, piece of brilliance from Paul Pogba and all that. And after he did produce, he put a good performance in Paul Pogba. I think now some Manchester United fans are convinced, that they do wanting to currently remain loyal to the football club. So I have been reading Sky Sports today, and it did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that he's under consideration. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said about Paul Pogba, that he's under consideration of giving Paul Pogba the captaincy, going on into this season and all that. I do believe the captain at the moment, of course, is currently Ashley Young, but I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer may be considering, giving Paul Pogba the captaincy, probably in a bid, to convince him to remain at the football club and all that. So he could be given the captaincy on a permanent basis. We do know Paul Pogba has been relentlessly, linked to a move from Manchester United. Obviously, reports indicated out last month saying that he's obviously wants a new challenge. He publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United for the first time, and he even did say he's even willing to force him move away from the club. His Paul Pogba and all that. So basically, he did say he wants to leave Manchester United and all that. So basically, it's been in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to actually build a side around Paul Pogba. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, well, Manchester United are very, very adamant, that he's not currently for sale, but he did say would accept a bid in the region of around £150 million. But I was reading recent reports, and he did say reportedly, we've risen our asking price up to around £180 million now and all that. But we do know Paul Pogba's been linked with Real Madrid. He has also been heavily linked to move to Juventus, but for quite some time, Paul Pogba's first choice preference has been Real Madrid. Obviously, his likely destination, of course, has been Real Madrid. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has held talks with Paul Pogba, in regards to his long-term future, like he did say in his press conference prior to the Perth Glory game. Obviously, he'd been asked a lot of questions about Paul Pogba. He'd been peppered with questions about Paul Pogba. He'd also been asked, the questions that Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, came out the other week, because he came out the other week saying that Paul Pogba, of course, is in the process of leaving the club and all that. Obviously, Paul Pogba has come on tour with us. Obviously, he was absent from pre-season training the other week, so obviously, that added more speculation in regards to Paul Pogba's long-term future. But I do believe he wants to leave the club. But based on the hefty price tag we've put on Paul Pogba, this could be the stumbling block of him, currently making his proposed move to Real Madrid. But as he updated you, was it a couple of days ago in regards to Juventus, like I did say, Juventus have been in there for him. He did confirm a couple of days ago that the Juventus vice chairman had notified Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola now that Juventus have currently ended their interest in Paul Pogba. So I do believe now Juventus are no longer in for him, because it confirmed a couple of days ago, they have currently withdrawn their interest. But like I did say, Juventus won't be able to afford Paul Pogba outright anywhere. I do believe Juventus, would have to offload probably, Juventus, would have to offload one or two of their essential players, to fund the move for Paul Pogba, because I don't believe, they'd be able to afford him outright. Obviously, Juventus have done good business this summer. Obviously, they've got Adrian Rabiot on the board. I think they're on the brink of getting delayed. They got Ronaldo last summer. Obviously, they've got Aaron Ramsey and all that. So Juventus won't be able to afford him outright. Juventus have held talks with his agent, Mini Raiola. So Juventus have initially stepped their interest up, at least in the last 2 to 3 weeks and all that. And he did have 4 good years in Turin, did Pogba. He hasn't really replicated this form since he did make the return to Manchester United, and he hasn't been the player as we all thought he would have been. But I'd still say in this market at this day and age, that Paul Pogba is within the region of 140 or 150 million pounds and all that. But yeah, there has been talks about him going to Juventus, but I think for a long time his first choice preference, of course, has been Real Madrid, because I think Paul Pogba is keen on playing under Zinedine Zidane's guidance at Real Madrid and all that. And I think maybe the couple of main factors why Paul Pogba wants to leave the club, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players and he isn't playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he is frustrated with lack of competitiveness and all that. So maybe these are the main factor reasons why Paul Pogba wants to leave Manchester United and all that. Real Madrid, of course, are not keen on a straight cash payment. Real Madrid, of course, are not keen on a straight cash payment. It did initially say that Real Madrid are desperate, to include Gareth Bale in their bid to currently sign Paul Pogba. So if Paul Pogba does leave Manchester United and he does go to Real Madrid, possibly, Gareth Bale could be still part of the deal and all that. Because like I said, Real Madrid are not keen on a straight cash payment, and Real Madrid themselves have done good business this summer. They've spent over £300 million. Obviously, I think the vast majority of that went on Eden Hazard. They paid around £150 million for Eden Hazard and all that. I do believe Manchester United have held negotiations with Real Madrid. But yeah, he's confirmed he's seeking for a new challenge. Obviously, Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his contract with the club, don't forget, with an option to extend it by a further year and all that. And I think he's on around, 290 grand a week. Obviously, he is our most expensive signing and all that, is Paul Pogba. Obviously, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, has been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club, at least for the last couple of months and all that. But he has been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Paul Pogba last season, made 47 appearances in all competitions, scored 16 goals, provided 11 assists. Obviously, since he rejoined the club back in 2016, he scored 31 goals in 135 games. Obviously, he's won the Europa League with us. Obviously, he's won the League Cup with us. Obviously, that came in his second season with Manchester United and all that. But actually, reports came out the other week saying that reportedly, he was willing to offer Paul Pogba a long-term contract, worth up to around 500 grand a week again, to try and convince him to remain at the football club. So there's now a possibility that Paul Pogba, could remain loyal to Manchester United. But regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, I still think it's in our plans, to get a couple of new additions in that midfield. The news about Sean Longstaff, not really much more is updated about Sean Longstaff as far as I am currently aware. Obviously, I think now we are set to withdraw our interest in Sean Longstaff, reflecting on the hefty price tag that Newcastle have put on him, because Newcastle have indicated out that he's not for sale, and I think Newcastle believe how much of an imperative player he is to them. So I think according to Newcastle that they've said Sean Longstaff is fully committed to them and all that. But reportedly now Newcastle are demanding that they want at least around £50 million, of course, if they are willing to offload the player. I can't see Manchester United willing to pay this current figure and all that. But I do believe now we are currently going to withdraw our interest in the player. Came out the other week saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had instructed he'd instructed Manchester United to get a transfer prioritised for Sean Longstaff. Obviously, he did say I think it was last weekend, that Manchester United and Newcastle had held high-level talks about Sean Longstaff, and he did reportedly say we was preparing to put a bid in of around £30 million, but reportedly now Newcastle want somewhere in the region of around £50 million. But like I said with Sean Longstaff, obviously he hasn't really got a lot of experience under his belt. He's got a bit of experience under his belt. Obviously, Sean Longstaff made his debut for Newcastle in December of last year. I think last season for Newcastle, I think he played around 13 games under Rafa Benitez, and to be fair, he did flourish under Rafa Benitez's guidance. He did put some good performances out. Obviously, he is under contract with Newcastle until 2022. Is Sean Longstaff. I think he got this new contract quite recently, reflecting on his impressive performances and all that. I think he's primarily a central midfielder, and I do believe we have been holding a lot of negotiations with Newcastle quite recently, to try and get a deal concluded, but he's not worth £50 million. And I thought initially, we'd been given a boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff, following departure of Rafa Benitez, but I think Newcastle are reluctant to offload him. Obviously, he's still recovering from an injury, I think, is Sean Longstaff, because he had sustained a knee ligament injury back in March, and obviously, back in March, and obviously didn't play the last couple of months of last season, due to this injury, he had currently sustained. But I do believe now, we are set to withdraw our interest in the player. But look at our midfield, we have got the likes of Pereira. Pereira's a fringe player, of course. Obviously, we've got McTominay. McTominay is too inexperienced at the moment, but I think, with these games in pre-season and going on to this season, I think McTominay will get a bit more experience under his belt, and I think, he will get more chances there with McTominay. We've got Matic. He had a bad game yesterday, I heard. Matic is too inconsistent now, he's Nemanja Matic, and I think with Matic, he's too slow, he's not getting any younger, and I've got so many strong concerns about, Nemanja Matic and all that. Obviously, we've got the likes of Fred. Like I said, he didn't play yesterday because he didn't travel to Australia, but Fred, for me, I'm very sceptical about him. I've got major doubts about him. I don't know if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with him. We did pay £50 million for him, so Fred is one of our most expensive signs. So yeah, we've definitely now got to address that midfield. I haven't read much up about, Milinkovic-Savic, was quite recently. Obviously, it did say, we'd identified him as our number one target, to replace Paul Pogba at the football club. With Milinkovic-Savic, obviously, he currently plays for Lazio. Obviously, I do presume he would cost us a substantial amount, but he did say, I think Milinkovic-Savic to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba and all that. So I think we're only willing to get a deal prioritised for, Milinkovic-Savic, of course, if Paul Pogba leaves the football club. He did reportedly say earlier on this week, we had put around the £72 million bidding for Milinkovic-Savic. This could be too insufficient for Lazio, because I do believe Lazio confirmed they want somewhere in the region of around £90 million. I do believe Manchester United have held talks with Lazio. I think last weekend was it that Milinkovic-Savic's agent had travelled to the UK, so I do believe Manchester United have held negotiations with his current agent. He is 24 years of age. He is Serbian. I think he's primarily a central midfielder. He signed a new deal last October. October, so he's under contract with Lazio till 2023. I think in his 4 years with Lazio, he scored 31 goals in 138 games and all that. So reportedly, we've identified him as a potential target to replace Paul Pogba. But Milinkovic-Savic has been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United. I think also Manchester United were in for him last summer and all that. Obviously, I think they wanted around over £100 million, did Lazio last summer. So I do believe at that point, we had currently withdrawn our interest. But I do believe this player is technically a good footballer. I think his tenacity and that's supposed to be good. I think he can score goals, he can create chances, which Manchester United do need in that midfield. But I think he has been inconsistent there for the last 5 or 6 months. But he's had 4 years of experience under his belt in Italy. Obviously, hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. Milinkovic-Savic, but he does reportedly say we have currently been in for him. So I do think he would be a good signing for Manchester United. So there has been so many midfielders, of course, on our agenda. Want to give you the news about Romelu Lukaku, as I was updating you earlier on. As I was updating you earlier on this week in regards to Romelu Lukaku and all that. Obviously, we do know that he has been relentlessly linked with move to Inter Milan, and we do know for the entirety of this window, Lukaku has been negotiating about a move to Inter Milan. But now, as I did say to you the other day, it came out from the BBC from Simon Stones in Perth, and it's actually very, very reliable sources, the BBC. I think Simon Stones is also very reliable. He did say that Lukaku is now set to stay at Manchester United, based on the huge fee that we've currently put on him. Obviously, Inter Milan are struggling to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. Obviously, Inter Milan have been trying to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that 80 million pound valuation. But of course, Inter Milan have currently struggled to do this. I was reading Sky Sports today, and it still said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say that he's still unsure, if he's unsure if Romelu Lukaku, will leave Manchester United. So I think I think Solskjaer's very, very unsure at the moment. Obviously, reports did reflect out earlier on this week that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer held negotiations with Lukaku, obviously, in regards to his future, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was pleading him to stay for one more season, because he did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants Romelu Lukaku to remain at Manchester United for one more season. But, the story got steeper, throughout the course of this week. He did say reportedly Lukaku had made a decision on his future, and he reportedly said, that he does want to leave Manchester United, because I think Lukaku feels as though he has not been treated, right, for the past 6 months since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, got recommended in, because obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku, and obviously Lukaku has been unhappy about this and all that. But like I said, he allegedly said last month that personal terms have been agreed, between Lukaku and Inter Milan. He also said he allegedly agreed a deal worth around £180,000 a week. Obviously, Antonio Conte has identified Lukaku as his number one target. Obviously, reflecting back a couple of weeks ago. Reflects back a couple of years ago, when Antonio Conte was manager of Chelsea. Obviously, he wanted Romelu Lukaku at that point, but obviously, it didn't currently happen, because obviously he ended up making the move to Manchester United. And Lukaku recently described Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world, and so probably obviously Lukaku is keen on playing under Antonio Conte's guidance. But like I did say, the fee is actually the stumbling block of Lukaku making his proposed move to Inter Milan. But he did confirm earlier on this week. Well, we do know several talks have taken place anyway, between Inter Milan and Manchester United and all that. Obviously, Lukaku's agent has had several talks over Inter Milan, because Lukaku's agent does believe that Inter Milan, of course, are desperate to currently sign him, but he did classify the move as complicated. Obviously, as it did report out earlier on this week, that the Inter Milan director had currently travelled to London to hold negotiation with Manchester United, to thrash out a deal for Romelu Lukaku. He did reportedly say Inter Milan, that Inter Milan, inquired about, getting him on a 2-year loan and all that. I think it was a deal worth around £63 million, but that's still around £10 million short of our current valuation. But he did initially say there was also an obligation to include them in the deal. So reportedly said Inter Milan were willing to pay as a loan fee this summer to take him out on loan. I think the loan fee was around £9 million. Then there was going to be further payments of £27 million in June 2020, and then another £27 million in June 2021. But of course, Manchester United didn't entertain this offer, because we're only willing to let Lukaku go on a permanent deal and all that. We're also willing to accept swap deals, of course, that Inter Milan have offered us. But like I said, I still believe Lukaku is an imperative player for the club, even though he's initially lost his players in the team. But I have got reservations about him, and I do believe he is one of the problematic players. Lukaku's been here 2 years. He scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club. 96 games for the club in all competitions. Was exceptional in his first season, but of course, didn't really replicate that in his second season. But Lukaku has still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United, and I do believe he is on around 250 grand a week. But we basically said, we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago, because we did pay £75 million for him and all that, and I think we did overpay for him a couple of years ago and all that. But he did really, really well in his first season. I think Lukaku's pedigree is very good in the Premier League. His ratio and that's very, very good in the Premier League and all that. But like I said, I do believe Manchester United do need to move him on. I think there was also talks about him going to Juventus, because he did say Juventus would in for him and all that. But, now reportedly, Lukaku and Pogba, could be both remain at the football club. But both players, especially for the entirety of this window, have been widely spoken about. They've been relentlessly, linked to move away from the football club and all that. But I still said there's still lots of work, that needs to be done in the squad of Manchester United and all that, because you can still see the deficiencies in the squad. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to build a squad, with the club's history. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to get Manchester United, back to glory, get us back up there competing and winning silverware and all that. And I still think we're at least a number of years off from being a competitive elite level football club. Obviously, like I said, we have been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years. We've been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years, and the main factor reason why we have been playing catch up, because obviously we've been mismanaged. Obviously, this is the main factor reason why we have currently been underachieving and all that, because obviously we've had different managers with different philosophies. And like I said, regardless of who our manager is, any manager at this present time would struggle with this current squad, because obviously the squad is not good enough at the moment. And Wan-Bissaka was a good signing, but I think we need more than Wan-Bissaka. And I think Harry Maguire, will be a great addition to the squad, of course, if he does currently come in. So the Sun have reported now saying we have agreed a deal with around £80 million. And it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I hope he's the right man that can get Manchester United, back to being successful. He's got a bit of experience as a manager, but not really to the highest level. So that's something that does concern me. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years under Alex Ferguson and all that. So he did flourish under Alex Ferguson's guidance. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes he's following a policy, that proved successful under Alex Ferguson and all that. But like I did currently say, we are still one of the biggest clubs in the world. And like I said, even though we have been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years. Like I said, Solskjaer has proven himself as Manchester United manager and all that. Definitely proved himself as a player. But Solskjaer did prove himself in that 3-month period. When he was interim manager, the results were good, the performances were good. He exceeded expectation levels and all that. And we do know it had gone wrong since he had got the job permanently. But like I said, we have got quite a few aging up players in our squad. We've got the fringe players. Like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will give them all the opportunities. And like I said, we've got some young upcoming players. Like I said, with Mason Greenwood, he's going to get more game time going on into this season. Solskjaer's confirmed. Diego Dalot, I do believe he will get given his chance, going on into this season, even though we do know Wan-Bissaka, of course, is going to be our first choice right back, going on into this season. So, like I said, everybody, will get their chance under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which is very, very good news and all that. Like I did say, that was a problem at one point. We did let far too many players' contracts run down, but I think we have now resolved this problem. As I'm aware, David De Gea is still close to signing a new deal. I don't think that's been officially announced as yet. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, Juan Mata signed a new contract. Obviously, we do know last week Rashford signed a new long-term contract, which was very, very good. Pereira got a new deal. Alex Tuanzebe got him a new deal. He had a good game yesterday against Perth Glory. But yeah, we've addressed that really, really well. Smalling and Jones got new long-term contracts. Was a mistake for Manchester United. McTominay signed a new long-term contract. Martial signed a 5-year deal back in January and all that. But yeah, we have resolved that, issue very, very well. Ashley Young got a new 1-year extension last season, as you well know. Again, another bad mistake by Manchester United and all that. Like I did say with Sanchez, is Sanchez still injured at the moment? I do believe. With Sanchez, like I did say, for the entirety of the window, we've been working on, trying to offload him from the football club. But obviously, Manchester United have found it very difficult to offload Sanchez. Obviously, affecting him on his substantial wage. And I do believe Sanchez's wages are having a really, really bad effect on the football club, if I'm going to be quite honest, because he's the highest paid player at the club, he's the highest paid player in the Premier League, but I do believe he's definitely going to continue applying his trade with Manchester United, going on into this season and all that. So yeah, that's just to keep you mainly up to date, what's currently going on. Like I said, I couldn't come on in the last couple of days, due to that I have currently been on the holiday and all that. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.